let's go down memory lane. Story time,
Yes.
if you don't mind.
Okay.
You've called games, crossed paths with some incredible personalities, to say the least. Give me your best Bill Walton story. You got one for me, Mark?
You know what? It's interesting. I had one yesterday, Rich. It's wild that you would ask me that, man.
Fantastic.
Because as I was walking to Staples Center across the way here for the game last night, Bill and I, we've done so many funny things, both in studio and at games, covering games, and he's just wild, man. Like, Bill's in his own universe with his perspective on the world and basketball during shows and in between. But I had a random thought about Bill as I went to Staples yesterday, walking down the tunnel. I remember doing games with him here and him saying, Mark, I need your help all the time, because Bill, if you know him, has had, I think it's 18 different ankle surgeries.
Yeah.
And his ankles are virtually fused. So as you and I would walk upstairs or down hills, our ankles bend. His are fused almost at a 90-degree angle, right? So he would need my help to go down the tunnel, to walk down the tunnel. He'd rest his hand on my shoulder, and I would help him walk down the tunnel. And I'd always turn around and say, "You good, partner?" He'd say, "Yeah, I'm good from here on in." And just a sweet soul of a guy, and really a team player, and wanted the best for everybody. That's my Bill Walton memory, is just helping him up and down the tunnel here at Staples Center.
He's
just the bond that we shared during games.
Yeah, I mean, here's something. Words that I never thought I would say, but they're serious. He and I did a Katy Perry video together. Mark. And he had his own metal chair with him, because he's got to bring his own chair because it's his back. It's not just his ankles, right? It's his back, too. And, I gave him a lift back to his hotel, because it was just as the crow flies a couple of miles away. But because of Los Angeles traffic, it took about a half an hour. And I didn't know that when you take him, you have to take his chair, too. And I put it in the back of my car, and it shattered my rear windshield. And he insisted on paying for it. He sends me a check along with this note: "Thank you for the time in the car and my life," all of that business.
You're right.
And I have not cashed that check. I will never cash that check. That isn't.
That's a great keeper.
I love that guy. What about Hubie? You got a good Hubie Brown story for me, Mark Jones?
You know what, Hubie. The great Hubie Brown story that I remember him telling me, the one that's always stuck with me, is us sitting around in the hotel lobby at the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Yes.
After a game, and him telling me about his first time as a coach with the Milwaukee Bucks. And he's just coming from Duke, and it's his first year. They're in training camp, and it's training camp, and they're going two-a-days, and he's the young assistant. And Larry Costello, the head coach, tells him to go downstairs and tell Oscar, right? Tell Oscar that, hey, he needs to get his butt up here because we're running today. And he goes down there just frightened. He's jumping out of his skin because, Oscar's this great player, Mr. Triple-Double, and he looks Oscar in the eye meekly and says, Oscar, coach says to come on upstairs. He turns around and runs back up. And about 2 minutes before practice starts, Oscar walks in, and Hubie says, "Jonesy, I just had this big exhale. Thank God that he heard me."
I love it. And every words that we, what we call parts on the floor and the painted area, right? I mean, like he's come up with the verbiage that we all use to describe the game, right?
Yeah. Hubie's great that way. Working with him has been a dream. It's been fantastic, and you learn so much. Sometimes, Rich, you have to snap yourself out of just listening to him and remember, oh, hey, Mark, you got to document the game. Okay,
right? Yes. I love that. And what about Doris Burke? Calling games with her, I think she's fantastic. You guys are a great listen. What's that been like for you, Mark?
Doris is great, man. She's another Hall of Famer I've had the pleasure to work with, and a fantastic team player, and a great soul that loves the game, and over the years being able to to be around her, to see what kind of person she is, has been one of the fantastic things. She's helped me a lot in my career, and when you work with somebody that you really enjoy, when you're not in front of the camera, it really helps. And to watch her prepare for games and to share information the way that we do really helps our broadcast. And man, I've had the pleasure to work with some fantastic people. Doris is so talented and loves the game and is so well respected. And man, I'm just trying to catch all those papers, man.
I bet. Last one for you, Mark. I appreciate the time you've given me. Near and dear to my heart, Stuart Scott. Do you have a memory, recollection? He arrived when you were already there, and started on the Deuce, as we called it back in the day.
Yeah.
Your recollections, crossing paths with him, any stories about him, with him, Mark?
Man, I remember Stu, the first time I actually met him was just briefly before he got to ESPN in Orlando. And, as another young African-American getting into the business, I just remember his wonderful energy. And I love Stu and I used to talk about kind of our shared hip-hop vibe that we love being able to bring to highlights and bring to broadcasting, me on the play-by-play and the studio show, the NBA Today show, and him on Sports Center, and sitting around at night and exchanging expressions and talking about culture and talking about trying to go uphill, frankly, Rich, a lot of times, getting people to understand where we were coming from and what the vibe was all about was one of our common bonds. And I think about him all the time when I see how far and this business has come and how it's transformed as part of our overall American culture has been great. And I think about Stuart being a vital part of that, and just how much fun he was to be around. We get to be around some fantastic people in this business, and I think about Stu and how much he loves his girls and his daughters, and I know he's smiling on us right now because I think about him this time of the year because it's the NBA Finals coming around the bend, and how much he enjoyed this time of year and being with him at the NBA Finals different times, and being able to hang out and have dinners and talk about our families. Just a great guy that I miss right now. And I'm getting a little choked up thinking about it.
Me too, Mark. I think of him all the time this time of year.
Yeah.
I think about him like, what would he think of Chris Paul? What would he think of what's going on with Ben Simmons? What would he think of Kobe passing? What would he think of Jordan being there to induct Kobe and posthumously? What would he think about Kaepernick? What would he think about everything that's going on in our lives? What would he thought about what happened to and the murder of George Floyd, and what the NBA players were dealing with in the bubble? I literally think of all that, and I also think of him with the calls like what you said, the fries at the bottom, deep in his bag. Like literally, that
Right.
I thought he would have loved that line. That would have been. He would have sat there. Maybe he was sitting there and chuckling at it. To be very honest with you, Mark.
Yeah, I still draw a lot of inspiration from Stu, and in those moments, I like to let it go the way probably he would too.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.